We're a group of Christians from different churches in this town and county to just share some good news with you. Some things maybe you didn't know, and some things that really speaking you should hear in church, any church, but I can't guarantee that. I put on the board here, oh by the way, we've got some free books here. You can help yourself, some free Bibles there as well. I put on the board here what Christ did on the cross for you and me. It's the greatest love you're ever going to come across. He's infinite, personal, unchanging, timeless, omniscient, omnipresent. But I want to talk about all the women folk. I just want to cover some things to you. I want to ask you a question. Do you have a God of your own understanding in your mind? Or do you have a God of who he says he is about himself? It is God in himself, in his whole being, who is supremely important, and it is God himself in his whole being whom we are to seek, to know and to love. So what that's saying there is basically you might come to a point where you say, well, actually I reckon there's a God. But that's only bless you. That's only the beginning. Coming to know him is going to take eternal life. And coming to know him, I can tell you, the more you come closer to him, the more you will be blessed. It's an amazing walk with him. In Jeremiah, which was 580 years before Christ, you're looking at nearly 3,000 years ago, he said, you will seek me, God said, you will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. Isn't that interesting? Because he made us, he knows us inside out. In the book of John, Philip said to him, Lord, show us the Father, he said to Jesus, and it'll be sufficient for us. So just show us the Father, they said to Jesus, and we'll be okay. Well, Jesus replied like this. Jesus said to him, have I been with you so long, and yet you have not known me? He said to Philip, he who has seen me has seen the Father. So how can you say, show us the Father? The words that I speak to you, I do not speak in my own authority, but the Father who dwells in me does the works. That's what Jesus said. Jesus is meaning there is an emphasis on the spiritual Father. He wasn't saying, because you see me physically, this is the Father. No. He was saying, because you understand me spiritually, this is the Father. In Exodus, which was 1,425 years before Christ was crucified, before he was born, that's 3,000 years ago. 3,500 years ago that was. In Exodus, God says this to us, to me, to you. He says, you shall not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, and that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, the Lord God, am a jealous God. I'll explain that. Visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me. Ask yourself as you're by, do you hate God? But showing mercy to thousands, to those who love me and keep my commandments. That's what God says. And here you see God saying about jealousy, this is him, God's jealousy for his own honor. He's jealous for his own honor. That's quite a wonderful thing. Wanting us to seek him, to know him personally. So there's one thing, the biggest question in life is, who made all this? Who made all this? Did it just blow up out of atoms? Well, my question would be, where did the atoms come from? But your biggest question is, who made all this? Is there a creator or is there not? That's your first question. Once you've answered that for yourself, there's a next question, a next step. If you find out for yourself that there is a creator, The next step is, who is he? And that's the best journey of your life, I can tell you this. God is spirit. I'm going to explain some things about who he is, who he's not. God is spirit. He is unlike anything in creation. Thus, he doesn't have a physical body, nor is he made of matter, like much of the rest of creation. God is not merely energy or thought. That's not who he is. He is also not like vapor or steam. This is not God. That's not God. He is neither air or space. So if you're thinking, who is this God, and you're making him up in your mind, you might think he is perhaps just a thought. He's perhaps just a thought. Well, he's neither of these things. He is not energy or thought. He is not vapor or steam. And he is not air or space. One of the main reasons that he's not air or space is because he created air and space. So let me ask you. So if you come to know him, this creator that made you and me, gave you everything you have, made these wonderful trees that we stand under that give us shade from his beautiful sunshine. So if you come to know him, you will not fall into his holy judgment. So how are you doing in your life? I've lived in this town 35 years. I treat you as you're my neighbors. I love you like my neighbors. I don't care where you come from, what color skin you are, what country you come from. You are my neighbors, and I love you and will tell you the truth. Let me ask you a question. Do you think you're a good person? As you walk past, think about these things today. God says we have all fallen short of his glory. All of us. And that includes me, and I probably was at the front of the queue for falling short. That was me. Let me ask you, how many lies have you told in your life? 10, 20, 30, 10,000, too many you can't remember? What do we call someone who tells lies? We call them a liar. Have you ever taken anything that did not belong to you? Even a pencil from school. When I was a schoolboy, on the way to secondary school, I used to go into a sweet shop and fill my pockets up with chocolates and sweets. I was stealing them. I didn't pay for them. And then I would go and share them out with my school chums at school, trying to get an extra game of football or something like that. I was thieving. So have you ever taken anything that did not belong to you? What do we call someone who does that? We call them a thief. Now, Christ knows this. One of the titles he calls himself all the time, most out of anything else, is the Son of Man, because he made us, he knows us inside out. And he says, if we as much as lust after a woman or a man, whether we are single or married, we have committed adultery right there in the depths of our soul, right inside your soul, in your heart. Let me ask you another one, last one. You're doing some DIY, some work at home. You've got a hammer and nail. You missed a nail and hit your thumb. I've done it many times. You end up with a black thumb. But what do? We curse someone, don't we? Let me ask you, would you ever curse your mother? Use your mother's name as a curse word? No, you wouldn't, because you respect your mother and you love your mother. But what do? We take the Creator's name, and when we want to curse someone, it's always Jesus Christ. And we take his name and we rub it in the dirt. He is the one who gave you your mother, and yet we curse him. If you do your own research, there's no excuse not for doing research and reading. You will find Jesus Christ the most cursed man in
Good
history.
person for David. Devil
So
person
on your
for
day, if you find out there's a God, and we're going to account to him because he's holy and just and loving and graceful and perfect. And because he is, he's going to judge us and give us justice. He must do because he's holy and loving and gracious and eternal. Will you be innocent or guilty?
I have
The good news is, that's what I wanted to share with you.
English department.
Unlike a doctor,
Completed honors and I got
the doctor tells you the bad news first, and he tells you the good news. Hopefully.
Shakespeare
But
drama.
here's the good news. God provided for you your forgiveness through his son, paying the penalty on the cross.
About Catholic,
And I finished off there. Don't get confused. God is not energy or thought, vapor or steam, air or space. He's not just some thought.
our religion is
God is spirit. Full stop. And before this world was created, he existed. One of the things Jesus said with his own words, I always go to what Jesus says, they're more important than what I say. Jesus said, Father, you loved me before the creation of the world. Now everything Jesus said is either completely wrong or it's eternally completely
even
true.
will go these people who believe Allah.
So I'll leave that with you. My friends and neighbors, I leave that with you. God provided your forgiveness through his son paying the penalty on the cross, substituting us, because I should be on that cross paying the penalty. You should be on that cross, substituting us that we could be reconciled back into relationship with God. If we ignore that, then we are rejecting his love and grace, as did one of the two thieves did on the cross, and God gave him what he chose. One thief on the right mocked Jesus and said, if you say who you say you are, get yourself over here and save us all. He didn't realize why Christ was there. The other thief said, hey, be quiet. You and I are both criminals, and we deserve what we're getting. But this man in the middle here does not deserve this. And he said to Jesus, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus said, today you will be with me in paradise. So the other thief said, hey, we're criminals. So if we ignore that, then we are rejecting his loving grace. And that's what happened on the cross. One thief rejected him, and God gives us freedom to do that. And the other thief asked for forgiveness, and Christ said, you will be with me in paradise today. So the reality of what happened on that cross there is that we actually send ourselves to hell. We send ourselves there because God in his love for us gives us the choice. But his heart wants all mankind to come to the knowledge of the truth. That's his heart. But the reality is he gives us choice. So I leave that with you.